Have you ever felt like the universe was pushing you away from the people, opportunities, or paths you once thought were right for you? That feeling of isolation and deep loneliness isn't a punishment, nor does it mean everything is working against you. Today, let's look at this situation from a different angle, one that helps us dive into our inner world and may change how we see these tough moments. To help us, we'll explore the ideas of Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who spent his life studying the mysteries of the human mind. Jung called the process of individuation the most important journey in life. It's not just about growing as a person or meeting society's expectations. It's a deep, complex inner journey that aims to help us become whole. This path is about bringing together all the different parts of our personality, both the parts we're aware of and the parts we're not. But this journey isn't easy or quick, and it often leads to feelings of isolation and loneliness. That's why many of us feel disconnected during major inner changes. Jung believed that individuation is the key to becoming who we really are. It's a transformation that goes beyond just fitting into society or meeting others' expectations. Instead of hiding behind the roles we play in social settings, individuation pushes us to discover our truest selves. But this true self isn't always easy to find or accept. It's buried under layers of social pressures, beliefs, and parts of us we've ignored or pushed away. One of the toughest parts of individuation is confronting what Jung called the shadow, the parts of ourselves we've rejected because we think they're negative or don't fit with the image we want to present. These could be impulses, desires, fears, or traits we find shameful. But Jung believed the shadow isn't inherently bad. It's simply unknown, and that's what makes us fear it. Individuation is largely about reconciling with our shadow, recognizing it, accepting it, and eventually integrating it into our conscious self. This process isn't quick or easy. It takes courage to face the parts of ourselves we've avoided and to tear down the walls we've built to protect ourselves from uncomfortable emotions. That's where isolation plays a key role. Often, individuation is difficult to do when we're around others, especially if they reinforce the masks and roles we play. To truly hear our inner voice, we need time alone, away from the distractions of the outside world. Sometimes, this isolation is something we choose for ourselves, like when we withdraw from the world to reflect and search for answers. Other times, it happens naturally, when circumstances push us into solitude. Although this kind of loneliness can be painful, it's necessary for individuation. In silence, we face our shadows without distractions. It's a time for deep reflection, where we can start to untangle the threads of our lives and understand who we really are, beyond society's expectations and roles. Individuation also involves balancing the energies within us. Jung saw the human psyche as made up of different opposites, conscious and unconscious, masculine and feminine, light and dark. Individuation is the process of bringing these opposites together and finding harmony. When we accept our shadow, we not only become more complete, but also release energy that was once blocked or repressed. This freed energy can lead to more vitality, creativity, and authenticity. It's important to remember that individuation isn't a straight path. It's a lifelong journey, and we constantly discover new things about ourselves as we grow and face new challenges. So, the isolation we experience at different points in our lives isn't a one-time thing. It's a recurring and essential part of our psychological and spiritual growth. Far from being a punishment, isolation can be one of the most powerful paths to finding our true selves. The universe doesn't isolate us out of cruelty. It does so because it knows we need to step away from outside distractions to discover who we really are. In everyday life, we're surrounded by noise, opinions, and obligations that pull us away from our essence. The isolation we sometimes feel isn't punishment. It's an opportunity for self-reflection and discovery. When the universe isolates you, it's inviting you to turn inward and face the parts of yourself you've avoided. At first, this can be scary, especially if you're not used to being alone with your thoughts in a world that loves constant noise. But it's in those moments of silence and solitude that the deepest truths about who you are begin to emerge. Picture yourself in a dark forest. At first, the darkness is overwhelming and even frightening. But as your eyes adjust, you start to make out shapes and shadows, and what once seemed terrifying becomes a fascinating, meaningful landscape. Isolation works in a similar way. At first, you may feel only loneliness, emptiness, or loss. Solitude also strengthens your emotional and mental resilience. By facing your fears and challenges without the constant support or distractions of others, you grow stronger and more able to handle life's ups and downs on your own. You learn to trust yourself and rely on your ability to navigate life's highs and lows without needing validation from others. This inner strength is one of the greatest rewards of solitude, giving you more freedom and independence. Jung also introduced the idea of synchronicity, which explains how seemingly unrelated events can be connected in meaningful ways. This concept is closely related to the experience of isolation, which we often see as empty or pointless. But from the perspective of synchronicity, isolation could be a crucial time when the universe is preparing something for you that you can't yet see or understand. When the universe isolates you, whether through external circumstances or a personal need to withdraw, it may be setting things in motion that you're not yet aware of. Though isolation might feel painful or confusing at the time, it could be the start of a major revelation, a personal transformation, or a change in direction. Big discoveries and life-changing events usually don't happen during busy times. They often unfold in moments of stillness, when everything unexpectedly falls into place. During difficult times, it's important to remember that everything happens for a reason, even if that reason isn't clear right away. When we look at life through the lens of synchronicity, it becomes a complex web where every part, even the ones that seem out of place, plays a significant role. Isolation, then, isn't just about feeling disconnected. It's a phase where your soul prepares for new understanding, a shift in perspective, or a new chapter in your life. Jung believed that our unconscious mind, which is full of symbols, archetypes, and psychic forces, communicates with us not just through dreams or synchronicities, but also through solitude. In times of isolation, when we're far from the distractions of the outside world, we're better able to hear these messages clearly. Solitude sharpens our ability to pick up on the subtle signals our unconscious is sending. This time alone becomes a fertile space for intuition, new ideas, and fresh ways of understanding our lives and our purpose. Isolation isn't an empty void. It's a space full of potential. It's during these times that the universe can communicate with you most directly, allowing you to receive insights that would be hidden by the noise and chaos of daily life. It's like a period of growth, where something new takes shape inside you, even if you're not aware of it yet. Just like a seed growing in the darkness of the earth, your inner self can develop in silence, ready to emerge when the time is right. This time of isolation also gives you the chance to see patterns and connections in your life that you may have missed before. Synchronicity shows us that the events, encounters, and experiences in our lives aren't random. They're part of a larger plan. In solitude, you can start to recognize these patterns, connect the dots, and understand the deeper meaning behind your experiences. It's like stepping back and seeing the whole picture, understanding the hidden order of your life. Additionally, isolation can change how you experience time. In our daily lives, we're often trapped in a linear view of time, where events happen one after another in a predictable way. But synchronicity suggests that time is more fluid and interconnected. In solitude, you might start to feel like time is stretching or blending. Past, present, and future can seem to intertwine in ways that make you realize that something from your past is linked to what's happening now, or that a feeling or intuition about the future is starting to take shape. One of the most intense and challenging experiences in spirituality and psychology is what's known as the dark night of the soul, a concept first introduced by Saint John of the Cross, a Spanish mystic from the 16th century. This dark night refers to a period of deep spiritual crisis when a person feels completely disconnected from their sense of purpose, from God, and even from who they are. It's a deeply unsettling experience where everything seems empty and there's no clear way forward. Carl Jung explored this idea, seeing it as an important step in the journey toward becoming a whole person. From Jung's point of view, the dark night of the soul isn't just a period of suffering, it's a process of purification and spiritual renewal. During this time, the soul goes through darkness to come out stronger, clearer, and more aligned with its true purpose. The person is forced to confront their inner struggles, the parts of themselves they've repressed or ignored, like fears, insecurities, trauma, or hidden desires. In the dark night of the soul, these parts come to the surface and demand to be faced. It can be incredibly painful because it means letting go of old identities and facing parts of ourselves we've avoided. But in this sense, isolation plays a key role in transformation. When someone goes through the dark night of the soul, they often experience deep isolation, both inwardly and outwardly. At first, this isolation may feel like a punishment, but it's actually a necessary time of withdrawal that allows a person to focus on their inner process. In solitude, true purification begins, clearing away the false beliefs and distractions that have clouded the soul's vision. The dark night of the soul isn't a punishment. It's more like an alchemical process where the raw material of the soul is stripped down before being transformed into something new and valuable. During this time, the individual sheds everything that isn't essential, false identities and attachments that have kept them stuck in unhealthy or limiting patterns. This can be painful because it feels like a symbolic death of the old self, but it's necessary for the true self to emerge. This process of destruction and renewal is ultimately an act of deep love and grace. Even though it may feel like everything is falling apart, it's actually laying the foundation for a spiritual rebirth. By moving through this darkness, a person is freed from old identities, beliefs, and habits, and guided into a new phase of life that aligns with their true nature. The dark night of the soul also serves an important purpose in the process of individuation, or becoming the person you're meant to be. Jung saw this experience as a crucial part of both psychological and spiritual growth. Through this crisis, a person has the opportunity to integrate their shadow, the parts of themselves they've been avoiding or rejecting. This integration is essential for personal growth because it helps the person become more whole and balanced. Moreover, the dark night of the soul offers a chance to develop a deeper, more authentic relationship with the divine or the universe. During this time, shallow beliefs and preconceived ideas about spirituality are challenged and often broken down, making way for a deeper, more personal understanding of the sacred that comes from direct experience and inner growth. This new relationship with the divine isn't based on rules or teachings from others, but on what you've lived through and felt in your soul. Carl Jung, in his deep study of the human mind, focused on the unconscious, seeing it not only as a storage place for repressed memories and experiences, but as a rich source of wisdom and guidance. For Jung, the unconscious was like a vast ocean of symbols, archetypes, and forces, which, though hidden in everyday life, can surface and offer valuable insights when we pay attention to them. Jung believed that isolation could help bring our focus to this inner world, which is often ignored because of the distractions around us. When we are alone, without the constant noise of the outside world, our minds naturally turn inward. In this state, the unconscious can be heard more clearly, and we may discover answers to questions we didn't even know we had, revealing parts of ourselves that have been hidden. Jung firmly believed the unconscious communicates with us through symbols, dreams, and visions, things that can't be understood by logic alone. These dreams and symbols may initially seem strange or unclear, but they actually carry deep messages about our true nature and hidden desires. When we're in isolation, without the usual distractions, These symbols and dreams may appear more often and with more vivid detail. It's as if, when we're disconnected from the outside noise, our inner world becomes more open and ready to share its secrets. This is the perfect time to pay attention to your dreams, instincts, and the symbols that show up in your life. Dreams, in particular, are a direct link to the unconscious. Jung called them the royal road to the unconscious because they reveal repressed thoughts and inner conflicts. By analyzing our dreams, we can access parts of ourselves that would otherwise remain hidden. In solitude, dreams can become more intense and meaningful, offering insights into our emotional state, worries, and desires. In addition to dreams, Jung also highlighted the importance of symbols and archetypes in our lives, whether in dreams, visions, or even in the coincidences we experience. These symbols are not just random or imagined. They are expressions of the collective unconscious, a shared part of the human psyche. Archetypes like the hero, the shadow, the anima, and the animus are universal patterns that shape our experiences and emerge at critical moments in life to guide us and help us understand ourselves and the world. Instead of fearing these moments when the unconscious shows itself, it's important to see them as opportunities to connect with your inner self. The unconscious might be trying to guide you, show you your path, or reveal truths that could change your life. By paying attention to these messages, we can better understand ourselves and the challenges we face, allowing us to act with more awareness and in line with our true purpose. It's important to remember that the wisdom of the unconscious doesn't always appear in a straightforward way. Its messages often come wrapped in symbols and metaphors that need interpretation. Here, the process of self-analysis, or seeking help from a therapist, can be incredibly helpful. By decoding these symbols, we can uncover patterns in our lives that have kept us stuck in repeating cycles, or we can receive guidance on how to overcome obstacles that are blocking our growth. Furthermore, isolation can also support practices like meditation and deep introspection, which give us more direct access to the unconscious. In meditation, for example, we can reach a state where our inner dialogue quiets, allowing the unconscious to become clearer. These practices not only help us understand ourselves better, but also give us tools to integrate unconscious material into our daily lives, promoting greater balance and mental health. So, isolation isn't just about withdrawing from the world. It's an invitation to engage in a deeper, more meaningful conversation with ourselves. Isolation can show up in two main ways: as voluntary withdrawal or as forced isolation. While both involve separation from the external world, they come from different sources and bring different experiences. Understanding this difference is important in fully tapping into the growth potential that each type of isolation can offer. Voluntary withdrawal is a conscious decision, a choice to step away from the hustle of everyday life in search of inner peace, spiritual clarity, or a deeper understanding of one's self. This type of isolation is often linked to spiritual and religious practices, like those of monks, hermits, or meditators who retreat to quiet places or monasteries to focus on contemplation, prayer, and self-reflection. In these cases, the person is separating from the outside world not to escape, but to connect more deeply with the divine, their inner essence, or universal truths. Voluntary withdrawal is seen by many as a path to higher understanding, an opportunity to let go of worldly distractions and focus on what truly matters. During these moments, a person can immerse themselves in introspection, examining their thoughts, emotions, and beliefs without the interference of social pressures or outside expectations. People often seek voluntary withdrawal during times of change, or when they feel the need to reconnect with their purpose or find answers to big life questions. On the other hand, forced isolation is imposed by outside circumstances, often unexpectedly and unwillingly. Examples include isolation due to loss, illness, a pandemic, or any situation that forces us apart from others against our will. This type of isolation can be much harder to deal with because it often brings feelings of frustration helplessness, and despair. When someone faces forced isolation, it can feel like they've lost control of their life and have been pushed into solitude against their will. But Carl Jung taught us that while we might not always choose our circumstances, we can choose how we respond to them. This mindset is crucial for turning forced isolation into an opportunity for growth, both personal and spiritual. When we find ourselves in a situation where isolation is thrust upon us, we can either resist it and create more suffering, or we can accept it and explore how to use this time to our benefit. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up, but rather being open to working with what life has given us, finding ways to make the most of the situation. Whether we choose isolation or it's imposed upon us, it can lead to deep reflection and self-discovery. The key difference lies in our approach. In voluntary isolation, the person intentionally seeks solitude for peace, wisdom, or spiritual connection. In forced isolation, the challenge is to find meaning and purpose in a situation we didn't choose. The key to navigating both types of isolation is to not fight the process. Instead, we should accept what's happening and let isolation work its way through us. When we resist isolation, we fill the space with distractions, preventing the lessons that could come from solitude. However, when we accept isolation as an opportunity, we can uncover parts of ourselves we may not have known, build resilience, and gain deeper insight into our lives and the world around us. Voluntary isolation, focused on inner seeking, teaches us the power of silence, stillness, and connecting with something bigger than ourselves. It shows us that by stepping back from external demands, we can find clarity and answers that would be impossible to reach amid the noise and rush of daily life. This kind of solitude is a powerful tool for spiritual growth because it helps us align with our truest selves and the natural flow of life. Forced isolation, on the other hand, teaches us how to adapt and accept what comes. It challenges us to find balance and meaning even in tough situations, helping us develop the inner strength we need to face life's challenges with grace. While this kind of isolation can be painful, it also offers a chance to reassess our priorities, let go of things that no longer serve us, and come out of the experience with a fresh outlook and the ability to handle adversity more effectively. In today's world, solitude and isolation are often seen as negative and uncomfortable. We've been conditioned to view silence as something to avoid and the lack of social interaction as a sign that something is wrong. We live in a society that values constant activity, surface-level connections, and instant entertainment, conditions that take us away from self-reflection and understanding. However, Carl Jung warned that constantly running from solitude and avoiding our inner struggles can harm our emotional, psychological, and spiritual well-being. Avoiding isolation can lead to a shallow life. When we constantly distract ourselves from being alone with our thoughts, we avoid confronting parts of ourselves that are difficult but essential for growth. This avoidance keeps us from truly knowing ourselves and traps us in harmful behavior patterns. Whether we turn to technology, work, social media, or shallow relationships for distractions, we're avoiding the inner work that's necessary for finding authenticity and inner peace. This kind of escapism can show up in many ways. Some people keep themselves busy all the time, filling every moment with tasks and commitments to avoid facing silence. Others rely on the validation of others, seeking approval and attention rather than building genuine self-esteem. And some may even turn to addictions or self-destructive behaviors to escape uncomfortable emotions and thoughts that come up when they're alone. But by resisting isolation, we also resist the process of individuation, which Jung saw as crucial for personal development. Individuation is about integrating all parts of ourselves, including the shadow, those parts of our psyche we've repressed or ignored. By avoiding solitude and introspection, we avoid facing our shadows. The shadow, according to Jung, is the part of ourselves that holds our fears, hidden desires, and traits we refuse to accept. Confronting and integrating the shadow is essential for becoming whole and authentic. When we resist isolation and avoid this inner work, we only prolong our suffering and slow down our spiritual and psychological growth. The shadow doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. In fact, the more we avoid it, the stronger it becomes. It can show up unconsciously in our actions, damage our relationships, and keep us stuck in destructive cycles. This is the cost of avoiding solitude and the inner work we need to do for growth. Furthermore, avoiding isolation and solitude means missing out on the transformative benefits they offer. While solitude may feel uncomfortable at first, it provides an opportunity for deep reflection, for clarifying our values, and for rediscovering what truly matters to us. Solitude lets us disconnect from outside influences and reconnect with our true selves. In these quiet moments, we can hear our inner voice without the noise and judgments of others clouding our decisions. When we stop resisting isolation and allow ourselves to be alone with our thoughts, we begin to uncover parts of ourselves we didn't see before. We start to understand our emotions more clearly, recognize behaviors that no longer serve us, and discover new ways to relate to ourselves and others. Throughout history, isolation has been a powerful tool for some of the greatest thinkers, artists, and spiritual leaders. Far from being a barrier, these periods of solitude have provided deep inspiration, mental clarity, and personal growth. During these times alone, these individuals were able to connect with their deepest thoughts, come up with groundbreaking ideas, and create works that left a lasting impact on humanity. A great example of this is Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher whose ideas shaped modern philosophy, literature, and psychology. Nietzsche spent long periods in solitude, especially in the Swiss mountains, where he escaped from academic pressures and the illnesses that affected him. It was during these retreats that he developed some of his most well-known ideas, like the concept of the Übermensch and the death of God. In isolation, he found the space to challenge the social and religious norms of his time and to propose new ways of understanding life and human potential. For Nietzsche, solitude wasn't just an escape from the noise of the world. It was essential for clarity of thought and creative originality. Another example is Henry David Thoreau, the American writer, philosopher, and naturalist, best known for his book Walden. In Walden, he describes his experience of living alone at Walden Pond, near Concord, Massachusetts, where he sought simplicity and a closer connection to nature, away from the distractions of modern life. In his solitude, Thoreau found peace and a deeper understanding of life, learning to detach from society's superficial needs. His work reflects the value of simplicity, self-sufficiency, and living according to one's own values, rather than conforming to what society expects. Thoreau's time in isolation helped him connect with both his inner self and nature, and his work continues to inspire those seeking introspection and a more mindful way of living. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, also saw isolation as an important part of his creative and self-discovery process. Jung built a retreat by Lake Zurich, where he would often go to reflect, meditate, and work on his writings. In this isolated space, Jung explored his unconscious and developed many of his major ideas about the human psyche, including his theories of archetypes and individuation. For Jung, isolation was not just an escape from his busy life, but a sacred space to explore his mind and connect with what he believed to be universal forces within the collective unconscious. At his retreat, Jung recorded many of the visions and dreams that later formed the basis of his most influential work. These examples show that isolation, rather than being an obstacle, can be a source of inspiration and personal growth. When thinkers like Nietzsche, Thoreau, and Jung embraced solitude, they were able to see the world and themselves in new ways. Their solitude allowed them to shed external influences and connect with their truest selves, leading to ideas and works that continue to resonate with people today. In a world that constantly bombards us with distractions, it's easy to overlook the power of solitude. But, as these figures have shown, isolation can be a powerful ally on the path to self-understanding and creativity. Solitude gives us the space for deep introspection, allowing us to explore hidden parts of our psyche and uncover truths that would otherwise remain buried. Isolation isn't just about withdrawing from the world. It's an opportunity to reconnect with yourself and tap into the deepest sources of wisdom and inspiration. Great thinkers used solitude to gain clarity and see beyond the limits of their time, contributing ideas that transformed our understanding of the world and our place in it. By following their example, we can learn to embrace isolation as a crucial part of our personal and spiritual growth. It can be a tool for gaining greater clarity, creativity, and authenticity in our lives. Isolation isn't easy. It can feel long and painful. But if you look at it through the lens of Carl Jung, you'll see it as an essential step on your journey to wholeness. It's a time the universe gives you to find your true path and face yourself without distractions. Instead of resisting solitude, what if you saw it not as a punishment, but as an opportunity for growth and transformation? In these quiet moments, you can discover who you truly are, and when you emerge, you'll be stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose.